Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pink, for people who didn't know. First things first, my lashes are Ojali from Pink's collection. Obviously there's been a lot of ruckus on Twitter. I'm not gonna make a whole video on it because I just feel like everything I have to say on colorism I've said in my other video. If people have called you out for making any kind of, whether it's colorist tweets, homophobic tweets, anti-black tweets, whatever, all you can do at this point is apologize. I do feel like there's a space for forgiveness, but I don't feel like if you are not the victim, you have the right or the audacity to come and tell people whether or not to forgive. If the insults were not directed at you, it's better to get off the bus. But all you can do is apologize genuinely. I just hope that people receive it. But anyway, to the topic of the day, I'm sure everyone saw that video of that dad disgracing his son. The way that man was slapping his son, I couldn't even finish the video. There's a Zambian family, right? And the man is sending his son to a very expensive school in Zambia. I think it's $21,000 a year. Some results were posted that people suggested that belonged to the son, and he failed every subject apart from music. Later came out that the results might have been fake. Till today, I don't know. But the mum was filming the dad's reaction to the results and he was very, very upset. Now for me, when I saw the video, my first reaction was, this is obviously disturbing, and I closed the video. And I just feel like for a secondary school child to have failed that many subjects, or even to have been absent, this is not uni where if you turn up, if you don't turn up, whoa. This is secondary school. My thing was more to do with the welfare of the child. Like, is this child alright? And then I started thinking, fam, if my dad was shouting at me for getting dead grades, my mum's not gonna pull a phone out and start recording me. Do you know what I mean? I just thought there's so many things in this dynamic that is making me question, you know, what is going on here. And that led me to the overarching topic of African parenting and the African parenting style, because even though we're all from different regions of Africa, I feel like there are a lot of similarities in the ways that our parents behave. And you know, as I always do, I had to do a little bit of an investigation. So the first thing that came to mind was transgenerational trauma. Well, to be fair, this will count for Caribbeans as well. Basically, transgenerational trauma or intergenerational trauma is a psychological theory which suggests that trauma can be transferred in between generations, and it was first studied with Holocaust victims. To be honest, already there's a problem there, yeah? It was studied in the children of Holocaust victims in the late 1960s, which is centuries after slavery. And you know what is, okay, let me, oh, wheel up. I have to calm down. Basically, what they found was that a lot of Jewish children whose parents were victims or grandparents were victims of Holocaust were getting checked into mental institutions at an alarming rate. So they now said, let's study what's going on here. But do you know why that's mad to me? They can see the descendants of slaves or the products of colonialism also going through similar things. They never thought we were worthy of a study. I don't always like to make videos that relate to racism, but it's like when I'm doing research, it just jumps out. Because how can you see the children of slaves going through all these things and you just think, well, that's just how the blacks are? But then you see Holocaust survivors and their children going through another thing, and it's like, no, we need to investigate that. It's a bit like, anyway, whatever. So in some videos that I watched explaining transgenerational trauma, it explained how it can be passed on through sharing stories or through watching the pain and suffering of the people who are passing it on. There's also been new studies to suggest that it can be transferred through epigenetic transmissions. Even now in my course, I'm studying the difference between British colonial styles and French colonial styles. I think it's easy to attribute inhumane treatment of Africans and just wickedness really to French colonizers and Belgians, but sometimes we underestimate that the English were also a little bit crazy as well. And I think the consistent ill treatment from colonial masters, and even outside of that, there are things within our culture, because I think sometimes, yeah, we try to make like our culture was so perfect before the British came, which is obviously not true. Like, there were customs that we practiced that were quite there were things that we did that were very barbaric, and we've stopped it now, thank God. But I think that trauma still transcends through generations. I think a lot of us like to stereotype and be like, African parenting is not beneficial to the development and the growth of children. I just searched this up now on the Gov website. So it says percentage of pupils getting a strong pass in English and Maths GCSE by ethnicity. Black Africans are 44.3%. White British students are 42.7%. Gypsy Roma 5.3, Irish Traveller 9.9. Oh wow. Okay, so I guess our parents are doing a good job, but like, this is one aspect, right? This is academic success, and I think that's what our parents focus a lot on, right? In that sense, it's proven to be very beneficial. Now, if we're looking at the other aspects, which is social development and mental health, that's another story. We might not get the same statistics, you get it? Because now, I think for me, when I looked at what I thought were the grades, I started to question the welfare of the child. Now, you've gone to go and slap your son on the internet. Okay, you don't know that your son has dyslexia. You're now calling Funke Tunde Gba D ni Tunde Gba. You don't know that your son has a problem, but you've gone out there to go and disgrace your son. Now, whenever he steps in church, you can see the aunties will now be telling him, you know, you need to read your book. Who asked you? Who asked you? You don't know if I'm reading my book or not. Are you gonna fix the dyslexia in my brain? No, you're not. Thank you. Do you know it's mad? Because even a lot of my friends, yeah, they only discovered they had dyslexia when they got to uni. So I go to a Russell Group uni. So imagine you've overcome all these obstacles and you've gotten into a Russell Group uni and you only found out in 3rd year or 2nd year that you've got dyslexia. Meanwhile, your mom and your dad, they've gone to call the whole aye where, oh, you know, she was flopping, but your child has dyslexia and you never took the time to pay attention. What is wrong with my son? Why is he not, maybe is he more inclined to arts, is he more inclined to science? I don't know. All you decided to do was shout, and where did it get you? Tell me. Now you're slapping your son on the internet and it's now going to affect his mental health. When you treat your children that way, they start to learn those behaviors. There's no way that it will not perpetuate that cycle of abuse and public disgrace. Now, he's going to be thinking subconsciously, this is the way you raise children. It takes a lot of mental strength to tell yourself, okay, I've been treated this way, so I'm not going to treat my child this way. When you actually, because all of us say that now, but when we actually have kids, you'll find yourself doing things that your parents did. And it's not even about this specific situation, just in general, all of us have probably experienced things that, even if it's not from our parents, aunties, uncles, whatever, that we all say we're not going to pass on. But I think it's very important, yeah, even if you don't think there's anything like wrong or you don't have any mental issues, I think go and seek therapy, because especially NHS is free. We live in a country that gives us free healthcare, so why not take advantage? It's not even just for you, obviously it's for you first, but also for your friends, your family, your children. I think what people don't understand about pain is that it's temporary. Okay, you slapped me now, I could still go and do the same rubbish tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's necessarily the most effective. It might get you the best grades as we've seen today, but is it really beneficial for your social development and your mental health? That one is another question. And the final thing is, I think that raising our children in this social media age is going to be so different. When I was 5, yeah, I don't think the phones back then, Nokia, Motorola flip phone, I think it was emoticons that time, and you can only use emoticon on Windows XP. Yeah, Windows XP, Millsberry, Education City, that's what I was banging out. I didn't know about no emoji. But now we're raising our kids in a generation where, for your info, by the time your daughter is 12, she can ask you, Mom, can you order hair for me on AliExpress? Because even if you don't want to get it for her, all her friends in school will have it. Times are changing. Something will happen and our first instinct is, let me film it on social media. Now, I've seen people cutting their kids' hair, shouting at their kids and posting it on Instagram. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you want to disgrace your child in that way, in a way that's going to scar them for life? And then you're wondering, why doesn't my son want to talk to me? Because you went to go and post his disgrace on Instagram. So I think that the transgenerational trauma gets modified as we get older, and now we feel like the internet is a resort. It's really not, you know. I think that the solution is, like I said before, maybe there's not much the older generation will do to change realistically, but the good thing is that we can. And like I said before, if it's that you need to go and seek therapy, go and do it, because it's free, by the way. And just say, I will do it next week. Keep pushing next week, before you know it, you've got 4 kids and you're slapping them all. You're banging their heads together and you're posting it on Insta. Why? Because you didn't seek therapy for your information. It's important to cap these things before they get transferred, because we'll have things like marriage counseling. We need to have parental counseling. Expectant couples, please come and, whether you're together or you're not together, the fact that you're raising a child together, please come and see. That's what churches need to start doing. Parental counseling. So yeah, I just feel like there's a lot that we can do, and I think that's also important. when we see these kinds of things on social media, not to celebrate it or encourage it. That's it. Thanks guys for watching. Stay safe. Stay at home. Stay at home. Thank you.